In this video, I'm going to show you how creators make over 200K per month by copying everyone. This is what I call the one-up strategy, and I will also show you how to build that. So if you are into school, you might see the leaderboard here where you'll see in the money niche and in the tech niche, there are guys that are absolutely crushing it, and they are using strategies which are just replicating whatever everyone else is doing, but they just make it a little bit better. So before you click away, you might think that this is plagiarism. This is not. This is a brilliant strategy that anyone can use, and I'm about to show you exactly how it works. Plus, I will demonstrate the AI system that automates the entire process. As you might know, creating high quality content is absolutely exhausting. So just for one long form video, it requires research, scripting, building whatever you're demonstrating, filming, editing, creating thumbnail, writing description, and so on and so forth. So I've studied several creators, and some are making well over 200K per month with community courses and services. I don't know if they are actually selling those services or if they just do courses and communities, but they are making serious money off of that. So they have one thing in common is that they need massive amount of content to drive organic traffic. I'll show you inside the basically the content management database that I have here. This is scraping content on a daily basis. And here you'll see that some of those guys, they're actually publishing several times per day, like 2 or 3 times per day. So this is like a full-time job. So they don't come up, or they at least rarely come up with original content ID. They use what I call the one-up strategy, and it works in really any niches. So for instance, if someone publishes in the fitness niche 5 ab exercises, they'll come up with 10. If someone publishes 7 Instagram growth tips, they will counter with 15 Instagram strategies, and so on and so forth. Like in the n8n niche, you'll publish something about 3 different scraping techniques for websites using n8n. The next day, you'll have a couple of those guys publishing 10 or 15, and so on and so forth. So they take existing content, they check that it works first, and then they make it 5 to 10% better, more complete, or they just fill in the gaps with the original, where the original content missed it. So this approach really works, and the results are really massive for those that are actually consistent and using this technique. So now this is how it gets really exciting. I'm about to show you how the AI system does it and the entire process, and how you can replicate this process yourself, and how you can sell it to clients and content creators too. So I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the strategy myself, because I find that the added value of actually doing something that has already been covered, even if this is a little bit better, is not great. However, I agree with the fact that we might as well just do more of what's already working. So would I pay $1,500 for a system like that if I didn't know how to build it? Absolutely. And so if you are looking for a service to sell, this is a great one. And here you have lists of people that you can sell it to. So this is really in any kind of niches. So now I'm going to dive into the system, and I'm going to show you how to build it. We are going to use 2 different workflows. The first one is going to add the video transcripts into a vector store database. And the second one is going to use this data and then find the different gaps, verify that this is all accurate, find additional information so that we can actually make the video better than the original one, and then create a script. So this script gets uploaded inside Google Drive folder as a Google Doc, and also sent as a Slack, so that we can also tweak the script as much as we want. So you see the quality of this script is pretty insane. So this is using YouTube video script framework. which always works and works for a lot of different creators. And the quality is just like crazy. We also get all the preparation that's required. For instance, if we have n workflows to build, or if we have different software to connect with, or APIs connections to make, we receive this preparation work to be done inside an email. So this is also really useful. So now let's dive in. First steps first, we need a Airtable database. And within the Airtable database, we need to make sure that we have creators that we want to scrape. So these are all creators that I would like to scrape. And here we have scrape start. So this runs on schedule. So every day it scrapes new videos from those creators. And they are split into two different sections. So YouTube videos and YouTube shorts as well. And here, as you can see, some of those guys are publishing like several videos every day. Here we have a checkbox, and within that checkbox, so obviously we have everything. We have the thumbnail, how many views do they have, how many likes, the comments, the transcript, and everything. But here inside the checkbox, we can add the video to IDs. When we add the video to IDs, it triggers an automation. So this is an automation like this one. So where the script runs and just adds the video transcript and basically the metadata inside the vector store database. So that's the first step. We need to create a vector store database. In order to do that, we'll go inside my community actually. Go inside the content powerhouse, which is basically a content creating machine or a content repurposing machine. And here we'll click on set up the knowledge base, so vector store. Here we'll want to make sure that we have the correct name for this, so the function, and the correct name for the database. So these are two things that you will need to verify. If you don't know how to do that, you just need to copy and paste it inside ChatGPT and make sure that everything is correct. Now, as a next step, you'll want to go inside the SQL editor. So obviously you will need to create an account into Supabase. That's the first step. And you are going to paste this code here and then run it. So you will see inside the table editor, you will see that you'll have YouTube video data. So that's going to be a new database. And within that, you will have the name, which is the name of the original video, the file ID, which is the record ID coming from Airtable, the file type, and then the create date. Because we are obviously not interested in creating outdated content. So this is also a verification step. We make sure that the content is recent so that we can recreate a video that's actually relevant and up to date. So now we are going to create the add to IDs to knowledge base, and that's a really important one. So I'll go back inside the community again, and then I'll go into templates, and then I will go into add IDs to knowledge base. I'll just click on this link. It will download the JSON file onto, and then here as the next step, I'll just want to click those three dots here, import from file, and you will see that you will have a workflow just like this one already deployed. So the first data is pinned, so you will need to delete that. So here you need to click on this bin button, delete, and then click on this one, and then webhook, and then just make sure that this is a GET request. This is a bit unusual. Usually we are using POST requests, but when we are using Airtable, we are using GET requests. So you can connect that one back just to see with the actual data that has been pinned. So whenever the data is pinned, it stays there. So if you want to use fresh data, you need to make sure that this is unpinned. Okay, so I'll pin it back again so that we can actually see how it works. Now we are pulling data from a record, because when this script runs, so it's basically when the automation is checked, So when the automation box is checked, it runs a script. The script is also located inside the school community. And then here it updates the record with the actual runtime. So this is inside the data and automations tab. If I go into actions here, you will see that create ID. If I click automation, runtime is going to process. So here as the next step, I'll want to make sure that I'm actually using data that contains a transcript. So I'll filter just to make sure that the post content exists. And then here I loop each item, and I will explain why this is really important. So here, if I had several items running at the same time, they would all get processed at the same time. So if we have several hundreds of rows that we want to update inside the vector store database, this is not going to work. So we do them one at a time. So here we make sure that we set the file ID, which is basically the file ID, the record ID from Airtable, then the name, which is the name of the video, and the date that it has been created. Here we are deleting all rows that are already containing the file ID, so that if we are adding a new video that has already been processed inside the vector store database because it has been tweaked or anything like that, it will delete the old one and then upload the new one. So here we want to make sure that we aggregate everything, because when you are inside the vector store database, here you will see that for one given video, we have several rows. So all of those rows would be processed as a single item if this wasn't aggregated. So we are only interested in using one item. So we do that by using the file ID. And then here we upload everything inside the vector database. To do that, this is actually really simple, but that's really important. The table name needs to match the table name that you've used inside the code that created the actual vector store database. And then the function also needs to match the function name that you've used inside this code here. So if you don't do that, this is not going to work. So if you go on to Supabase website and the quick start guide, you will see that they have some code, but this code only allows you to create one database and one function. And as a result, if you are running several vector store databases, you might create an account for each. This is not needed. You can create different databases and create different matching functions and then just use that. So within one account, you can have many databases. Just make sure that this is all correct so that it corresponds to the code that I've just shown previously. Here you need to make sure that when you are selecting the embedding model, you are using the exact same model in the transformation. We will see that in a minute. But here we basically just split everything. So we load the data. So the data is the post content. So that's basically the video transcript. Here we make sure that inside the metadata, we add the file ID, we add the name, and then we add the create date. And then here we'll just split everything in chunks of 2000. So this is 2000 characters inside the content column here. And that's basically it to add IDs or to add videos inside the content database. Now we'll want to create our own script. To do that, we'll need a transformation workflow. So as you can see, this one is very big because it's doing everything. Like create tweets, reels, Twitter cards, you name it, it will do it. What we are really interested in here is just this lower branch, which is going to create the script based on the original video. To do that, inside the content management database, we have an automation. This automation is exactly the same one as previously. So this is running a script. This script passes the record ID, and then we get the record ID in order to get the rest of the data from that video. So to run that, this is really, really straightforward. Here we have the transformation, which we'll select. So this is the create YouTube video script. And then inside the automation here, we have the trigger. I'll click on start automation, and this is going to process. I'm not going to do it now because I have data that has already been pinned so that I can show you exactly the way it works. Inside the webhook, we have this record ID. We use this record ID inside the Airtable ID node. So basically, we get all the content about that specific record. And then we make sure the data hasn't already been processed. And then we loop over items. So again, just like previously, we do each videos one at a time so that the system never breaks, never gets overloaded. It might take a little bit longer, but this is really safe and solid. So here we'll switch by transformation. So here we just need to verify that this transformation matches the transformation that has been set inside the IDs table. And then here as a next step, where we'll want to have an AI agent. So this AI agent has a couple of prompts. So your job is to create a YouTube script for Cedric. And then we give the AI agent access to the video knowledge base tool. We also give the agent access to Perplexity so that it can find more accurate information, identify gaps in the original content, or maybe missing example or content or outdated arguments. And then we use the get YouTube script to create the obvious YouTube script. So this YouTube script is contained inside the Google Doc. So we could also have used the knowledge base for that, but I find that the Google Doc is a more flexible option because if I want to tweak the script, I only have to tweak it inside the Google Doc and I don't have to re-update it inside the knowledge base. So that makes the process a lot easier and a lot faster. Here we have inside Perplexity the research process. So I'm creating a video script and I need thorough and factual info about the following. If you can find additional information that you can use and identify gaps in the original content. So this is the content, and then it uses the content from the vector store database. So that's really important here to make sure that you are using the database that we've previously created. Otherwise, this is not going to work. And that the query name also matches the query name that we've used previously. That's really important. So here we get basically our data. In this next node, we are using the data and we extract the information. So here, as you might have noticed, I'm using Claude for the AI agent, but I'm using Llama for Maverick for the information extraction. I find that this does a perfect job. It doesn't do a perfect job at writing. Claude is a lot better, but to extract information, classify and stuff, this is doing a great job. Here we are using whatever has already been extracted, and then we make sure that we are creating the prep work. So this is also very useful because this gets sent inside an email so that we can see the actual stuff that needs to be prepared in order to create the video associated to the script. That makes it a lot easier. Here we make sure that we are converting everything into plain text. We could use this markdown, but I don't like it, so I convert it to plain text just using this simple code. And then we create a Google Doc, basically. And then once the Google Doc has been created, we update that same Google Doc with the actual content. And then here we pass this actual content inside the same Airtable knowledge base so that we also have the script here. and then we send it inside Slack and we send it inside Gmail just to say, hey, you have a new script. This is what you need to do in order to create this video. And here, as I've shown you at the beginning of this video, we have all of those scripts that are ready to go and the preparation work that has already been done. So this is an automation that isn't overly sophisticated, but you need to know, obviously, how to build the knowledge base. That's the most important part. And then as a next step, building the script is actually really easy. We could push it a bit further. For instance, we could build another AI agent just to give us different video ideas off of what has already been created and what has already been successful. And to do that, we would only need to pull stuff off of that database. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you want the templates, you can always join the community where we actually have a lot more detailed videos on how to build everything. So looking forward to seeing you in the inside. Bye-bye.